Hello and welcome back to Kerbal Space Ram. This should probably be a shorter video than normal. Last time I said that, it did not work out that way. Yes, this is the K-38 V2. Also, I might sound a little not as enthusiastic as I normally do. I just got through finishing the beginner's guide, which I made a well, not short, but I made a video of roughly, I'd say roughly, I don't know, just under half the game, maybe a little less. And yeah, that's I still would say go play it, or if you don't want to do that, so at least go watch like a full video of it. Maybe, I don't know. It's very interesting, but that's not what we're here today to talk about. Today to talk about, to do. Yes, you might recognize this, the K-38 V2. Kind of a shitty little jet, but I just thought I'd make something like it, and I kind of like it. You know, it's not that great, but it's its own thing. But more specifically, we're looking at an upgraded form of it, where I've changed out some of the parts and hit the wrong controls just now by accident. And in fact, actually, I need to check that this actually looks good the way I think it does. I hope it does, because I actually made this on a computer that was a crappy laptop, so I had the settings real low, so I was doing a lot of these modifications without being able to see things as they would look at higher graphical settings. And I'd say, yeah, it does look nice. Okay, so the primary differences between this version and the other version are the Panther engine. The tail surfaces have been replaced with all moving tail fins. The wings have been replaced with swept wings, which have a slightly higher lift, and I think the control surfaces are different on the wings as well, which I believe these ones have a bit more lift. I'm not 100% sure on that. I also, because of how the wings were positioned differently, they have a slight up angle on them. They're slightly dihedral, as are the tail, as is the tail plane. It means that I took out the little I-beams that were in those top intakes, because I think that looks smooth now, so I'm happy with that. It also has drop tanks, as you can see here. An interesting thing I had to deal with the drop tanks, you might notice there's this slight basic fin there that's angled up slightly relative to the tank, and the tank's angled slightly down. Kinda strange, right? That's there for a good reason though, because we are relying on those tail fins and the down angle there to allow these tanks to drop properly when in the air. Without the fins, at least. I don't know about the downward angle, but without the fins, if you tried to drop these tanks while flying this, they would collide into the tail and the wing. Not in a destructive way, mind you, but still, you want a clean separation of those things. On a side note, I've updated BD Armory, although I might have just updated it to the same version it already was. And same thing with the adjustable landing gear. I'm not really sure, because I wasn't paying too close attention. But I decided it's about time I do those things, especially considering I was having some problems with the adjustable landing gear. And there we go. Takeoff. Successful. And if I go do the aerodynamic view, you can see that we're getting our lift a tiny bit from those awkwardly placed control surfaces in there. We're also primarily getting them from the wings, of course. Of course, that's what wings do. But we're also getting a tiny bit from these, because it just so happens that the way they're placed makes them give us some lift, which is kind of funny in my opinion. But in any case, you can see we're getting up to pretty decent speed. I forget exactly what the speed of the other version was at like this altitude, this angle. I think it was it's actually about similar, but of course the advantage this has over the other engine is that it does have an afterburning mode, and you also can, what's it called, you can also, oh, I only have one person on board, one Kerbal. You can also, what's the other term I'm looking for, switch modes, and oh yeah, thrust vectoring. Yeah, so this has thrust vectoring, so of course that makes it perform a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the SAS to see how well this performs without it. As you can see, it stays pretty stable without it, which is pretty much what I thought it would do. I wasn't 100% sure. I wasn't 100% certain, because I've only played with it on a laptop where it can barely run this craft because the part count is, well, it's not so much, well, it is the part count, but it's also just that it was a crappy laptop, so that's kind of what happens. Anyhow, time to demonstrate detaching these drop tanks. As you can see, they do a little flip into the airstream and then dive down. And that essentially comes down to the fact that those little winglets on them force them to, force them to dip down slightly, and then the air catches the nose and forces it to go down even more. Because basically those catch the air, make the rear pull up slightly while the whole thing is being forced down, which then makes the nose be in a down position relative to the rear, and then forces the whole thing to go down. And so it does that weird little, it does a little pause and then shoots away from the craft, which I think is kind of funny, and it's kind of a distinctive pattern that the drop tanks on this particular craft have. I've never seen drop tanks do that on another craft before. But as you can see, this thing rolls pretty well, flies pretty well. I want to point out real fast, I believe that's... Oh, okay, I don't have the gimbal limit set on this. I swear to God I set it to 80 like 20 times. But apparently that didn't save. I also set it to wet by default, but apparently that didn't save either. Perhaps... Actually, I might be misremembering that, and it might be... You know what? I am misremembering that. It's only on the other versions of this craft that I did that. And I'll go ahead and go open up those now. First, we have just the what I call the standard BD Armory version. As you can see, it's quite loaded down with things. We have an AI module, we have a weapon manager, we have a 50 cal that some of you will recognize right away. Yes, so let's see, where was the 50 cal? It was right there. Now, either it's been there a long time and I just hadn't noticed it, or when I updated, I got it. But yes, this Browning 50 cal, people are telling me that I should have put those on my Messerschmitt ME262. And yeah, I should have. Anyhow, I've put them on here. So, well, one on here. So this has a 50 cal gun on it. It's got 2 ammo boxes for that. We've got 4 AMRAMs. We've got drop tanks with fuel, although you probably might want to only drop one of them because the other one has a FLIR targeting ball, which you can use to set GPS targets for the 1 JDAM on board, and also laser targeting for the 6 Hellfires. It also contains 4 Sidewinders, so this kind of has a mix of air-to-air and air-to-ground on it. Of course, any part of it that you don't like, you can simply take off. And I just noticed that it's kind of a funny quirk because of the non-symmetrical Mark 0 liquid fuel fuselage, that it looks symmetrical on this side, but not on that side. In any case, I consider this the definitive BD Armory version of this craft, and I believe this one is the one where I've set the gimbal limit a bit lower. And basically my reasoning behind that is because of all the added weaponry on board, it is a bit slower to turn, it is a bit harder to turn, it needs to have the gimbal not so free, because having such a high degree of mobility, I guess I could say, I'm not sure if that's quite the right term or not, but having it able to pull up too hard too quickly leads to its downfall. And then we have what I consider to be my favorite version of this, although it is partially untested because the last modification I made of it, I actually made this while I was on a flight heading home. Yeah, I did all of this while I was on the airplane, so I didn't have a very good computer to test it with because I was on that laptop, like I said. But as you can see, we have a fuel cell here, and we have some little Oscar Bs clipped into the side there, just sticking out slightly. And we have 8 Hellfire missiles on here. We've got a FLIR targeting pod. Oh, never mind, it's not called FLIR. So this one's called FLIR targeting ball. This is AN/AQ-28. Yes, so you can see this has mostly been, basically the AIM 120s have been replaced with JDAMs. We have some extra Hellfires, and it keeps the 4 Sidewinders, total of 5 JDAMs. We've got a ECM jammer, which is why there's a fuel cell on board, so that we can hopefully generate enough power to power that, and of course the targeting pod, because it has laser targeted weapons primarily. This is going to be the first test flight of this version, or at least, oh yes, the gimbal limit has been reduced even more because this version is designed for ground attack. It's designed for low altitude intrusions. That's why it's called the LAI. It is, okay, so we can see here, the KF-38 is a small fighter/trainer apt for longer ranges relative to its size due to a large fuel store. I'm not sure exactly how true that is, but whatever. This version is designed for low altitude intrusion missions to take out multiple ground targets, and as you can see, it tells you the, whatchamacallits, the action groups, and then obviously originally based on EJSA's K-38V from Kerbalix. So yeah, let's go ahead and launch this. As a quick side note, tell me what you think about the editing on this video, because I'm going for a little bit more minimal approach. I normally edit things a bit more, at least when I'm in the SPH or VAB, but this time I did not so much. Also, the engine starts in afterburning mode by default. I forget if I did that on both BD Armory versions or just this one, but I felt that it definitely needed it to get up to some serious speed in a good amount of time. As you can see, I can disable that and maintain the speed fairly well. We are dropping speed slightly, but not terribly so. And let's go ahead and, that's the wrong button, switch to, okay, so the Hellfires. I could go ahead and fire them, but obviously they're not gonna be targeting anything because I'm firing them without targeting something. But oh yeah, I need to enable the trigger, or I can hit the right button. Wow, that was loud. I think I need to check my volume. Yeah, my BD Armory settings were reset because of updating, because I deleted the old folder and added the new one, which is usually the safer way to do things. In any case, aim 9s, rather, excuse me, aim 9s, you can see they fire pretty well. Let's see, JDAMs. Okay, so the JDAMs, so let's go ahead and fire one, so you can see the middle one will drop, then probably the, well, okay, that one dropped just fine, but if I was like this, oh, well, it's going to drop anyhow. I thought it was going to refuse to because of the Hellfire sitting in the way, but obviously I was wrong about that. Alright, AGM 114s, and as you can see, those all fire away quite nicely, and we're left with just having the gun selected, and the gun being a 50 cal sounds like this, or in here. Oh, look at that. I didn't notice that before because I was on a crappy computer, but you can see the casings ejecting out the side there. That is quite nice. I like that. Woo. Yep, so we have, like I said, this is designed for low altitude intrusion. So the whole point of this, the whole idea was originally that you wouldn't be flying it up high like what I was just doing. You would be flying this rather low, which is my why I have the gimbal limit even lower, is because I don't want you to overcorrect while trying to do things at a lower altitude like this, because when you're flying this low, it can be kind of dangerous. Also, the gun, as you might have noticed, see, we're actually going up ever so slightly. Yes, we're going up ever so slightly, but my gun is targeting the ground. And that is on purpose. This thing is designed to be able to go up while also still targeting the ground. Although it's just barely. It's a very slight downward angle. In fact, I probably should make it aim a bit more down for this particular version, since it is supposed to be a ground attack version. There we go. So yes, that's actually quite a dramatic difference in the exact angle of the gun relative to the other version, but I figure it is justified since this is designed for ground attack. That is appropriate. I also realized that there was a critical mistake in how I was testing this, in that I didn't actually test it properly. So let's get the weapon manager on. Let's go ahead and pull up slightly. Let's not have the flare dispenser right clicked on. Come on, unright click it. It's it doesn't want me to not have it selected. That's interesting. Okay, well, I guess I'll just have to deal with that. I think maybe, there we go, that cleared it. Alright, so we're in the air. I am primarily interested in the electric charge that we have here. So actually, yeah, I'll just go ahead and leave that enabled so you can keep an eye on it as we drain it horribly. So let's activate these things. So you can see the targeting pod. We have a pretty good range of view. Ooh, look, I can look at the Sidewinder right there. Yes, but it has a pretty good range of what area that it can take a look at, because its placement is purposely so that even if I'm like rolling upside down, like you can still see where it's targeting all the way to right about there. I start to get in the way. So It's not blocked by the body of the plane too much, which is a good thing. Unless you do this and have the gimbal limit reached. Anyhow, radar data receiver, I believe, doesn't take any power. Yeah, it doesn't look like that's taking any power. The targeting pod doesn't do anything as far as power is concerned, but I'm going to leave it enabled right now. But the things that will really take power is just the ECM jammer, which, as you can see, has immediately started slowly taking away our power. But if I enable the fuel cell, we'll now start gaining. No, it's just keeping us steady. I think what it's doing is it's purposely keeping us about steady. Yeah, it's doing just as much as is necessary to keep us steady, and as you can see, it's taking so little oxidizer that it's like not even counting. So this does work as intended, and you have essentially infinite jamming capability with just those tiny Oscar B tanks. In fact, I could get away with just putting one on here. It doesn't even need two, and that's because of the engine, though. So let's see what happens if, first of all, let's take it off of afterburning mode. You can see we're starting to lose electric charge. This is at 100% load, and we're still losing charge. So it actually needs to be in afterburning mode for us to be able to keep up with demand. Right now, this is just stemming the flow. It's just slowing it, not stemming it, slowing it. As you can see, if I turn off the engine entirely, then the drainage gets bad quite quickly. So as soon as we get to about at the slash, I'm going to go ahead and re-engage the engines at full throttle with the afterburner on. And we're now going to see how quickly it recovers from that. And it actually recovers from it pretty damn quickly. This thing's probably still at 100%. And we're going to build back up the electric charge to near 100. So yeah, I'd say as long as you have the engine running full, as long as you have the engine running hot. Oops, that was the wrong button. As long as you have the engine running full and hot, everything is awesome. Now, of course, I've repositioned the guns, so it wouldn't be fair for us to take a look at this without taking a look at the gun again. Let's go ahead and pull around here. I should be at full throttle still. Yep. We're jamming nothing right now, since there is nothing out here. But I'm going to go ahead and pull around back at the Space Center, and we're going to go ahead and maybe do some long-range gun firing. Okay, there we go. Long-range gun firing. Gonna see if I can take anything out. Whoa. The problem is I need to enable caps lock. Whoa! That didn't help. Okay, wait. Oh, fuck. Maybe if I disable SAS. Whoa, no, that just made it worse. If I had a joystick, I could probably do this. I probably should plug in my joystick. Oh, come on. You know what? Screw this. Come on, come on. It only takes a few hits from a 50 cal to take out one of these smaller objects, if I remember correctly. Aw, come on. I just don't have the, I can't target it well enough. Oh, let's not crash. Okay, good. Let's not crash. But yeah, assuming you have good piloting skills, which I lack, you could do pretty well with this. Ooh, it does have a tendency to lose roll control while pulling up hard. I've just learned that the hard way by nearly crashing it just then. But yeah, that's kind of to be expected. But overall, actually, even with that, it's still doing fairly well, I'd say. It just means you have to be careful when you're pitching up hard. And you probably shouldn't be doing too much of that with the ground attack version anyhow. Let's pull up a bit more, because we are getting rather low. I honestly thought I might crash there. Let's drop one of those right there. Ah, look at that. We took out the administration building. Look at that. Yeah, since we just took out one building with a JDAM, why not go ahead and take out some more? I mean, I could bother to target and take them out, but I think it would be more fun to just fly real low like this and just aim things manually, because, I mean, I just did that kind of by accident, and I figured, why not? Why not? Alright, so let's get this lined up. Lined up to right about there. Oh, I forgot to hit the right button. Well, shit. Oops, I didn't mean to drop 3. And I also I dropped them so close that their explosion radius completely killed me. That's why you have to be careful dropping bombs at low altitude. Or you do the strategy of you drop it and pull up real hard. You also want to go faster than I was going. Possibly. So yeah. Very nice. Alright, so now I'm going to have a little bit of fun to end the video. I'm going to start by stripping the air-to-ground stuff off of a standard KF-38, as well as removing the drop pods. Okay, so this should be, yep, just air-to-air stuff, and I will call this a, I'll call this AA. Oops, apparently I had caps lock enabled. Yes, I did. Okay. I'm just gonna leave that stuff alone right there, and I'm getting a phone call. Well, that was entertaining. In any case, now, for the last thing I'm gonna do today, as we leave, I'm going to fight that guy. Did I enable SAS? No, I did not. Did I disable brakes? No, I did not. He has a slight advantage. Did he just flare? Also, why is my bore sight not on? Probably because I forgot to enable it, because I accidentally quick saved and then reloaded. Alright, he seems to have gotten in the air just fine, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up at this point and assume that I'll get into the air just fine. Okay. I don't know if I've enabled the afterburner. I assume I have. Yeah, that's the afterburner sound, definitely. Okay, so I should have turned that off. There we go. So now I have to actually see him. But I already saw him, so you know it's not too big of a challenge. But let's see how well he handles an AIM 120 coming his way. And the answer is not well at all. Not well at all. Let's fire another one at his debris because I'm an asshole. Another two. I don't know why I'm still fighting at it, but I shouldn't be. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna die. Don't be over-aggressive at your targets. It leads to death. Is this the quick save? Yes, it is. Alright, this time I'm going to let the AI handle this battle between themselves. And so I'm going to take a look at this stuff. I'm going to... no, not radar data receiver. Gosh, that's the wrong button. What am I looking for? Okay, Team B. And let's fight, bro. So this time I'm entirely a spectator. I'm a spectator from in the cockpit. But I'm entirely a spectator in this match. So, looks like who's gonna get in the air first? Okay, we've gone for the guns immediately. That's interesting. Is it because we're in such a close range? Okay, we're pulling in the landing gear, switching to an AIM 9. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, they're still there. It keeps saying selected weapon none. I wonder if that's the other one? Or if we keep cycling back and forth for a split second at a time. Oop. Okay, we've definitely gone to altitude. We're definitely going to try to engage. And I don't know if they've... Well, no, well, if it was heat-seeking, I wouldn't have heard it. But, are we stalling? No, we're... Well, yeah, actually quite badly. Okay, what? We fired another one? I didn't see. Holy shit. Did we get them? Holy shit, we got them. Okay. And my Kerbal head keeps appearing glitchily. Yeah, alright. Well then, I guess there you have it. That was that went a lot quicker than I expected it to. I do love this design though. How many missiles did we fired? 3 of our 4 Sidewinders. Wow. Alright, so to change it up a little bit, make it a little more challenging perhaps, I'm going to disable the pilot on here so that I can land it. And I'm also going to disable guard mode. Actually, no. No, I can re-enable that because I'm definitely going to have this one with the guard mode enabled again. But I am going to turn the engine back on. And we're going to go ahead and land this ourselves. And hopefully also, yeah, it should be fairly easy to land, I hope. I don't know. Have not spent much time landing these, actually. I've just been kind of flying them a little bit, testing, and then reverting the tests. So, should be alright, but I don't know. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of the ones aimed at low altitude ground intrusion and have this face off against that to see if the low altitude... I thought that landing was going to be horrible for a moment there. Yeah, we're basically going to see if the low altitude intrusion, basically to see if its defenses can counter this. In fact, let's go ahead and jettison this Sidewinder, which I figured would explode. And I'll go ahead and re-enable the AI, so he'll be ready to go. And this will be it for this video. I'm going to want the radar data warning receiver, which will of course tell me about him. I'm going to go ahead and switch to Team B, enable the trigger, engage full throttle, fire the engine up, SAS. We're not going to have any weapons selected to start with. We're going to want the radome, and we're going to want the ECM active, and we're going to want this to keep us from losing too much fuel. Oh, I didn't actually click it. Come on. There we go. Alright, so let's see. Now this one's a bit heavier and a bit less responsive than the other versions, so we should have a tougher time, but we will see. Now they have radar-only weapons, so as long as we don't see a radar, radar hit, we're okay. Now I believe 4 is my countermeasures. Let's go ahead and check that. Yes, 4 is countermeasures. Okay, so according to the radar, he's that way, or am I misreading it? He's that way or that way. I have a tiny bit of dirt on... Oh, yep, he's there. I see him. Okay. And looks like he's going to go ahead and fire something at us. Looks like we lost it. Either that or he didn't even get the lock on us. I'm not sure which. Now we're fully armed, and I could jettison things to make it easier to survive and whatnot, but I don't think I will. In fact, I think I'm going to give him a bigger target here. I'm actually going to make it easier for him to lock on, because I'll hopefully be able to get the turn on him. We don't have any long-range missiles, so I will have to rely on heat-seeking in order to try and take him down. Either that or guns. Okay, we apparently have a missile lock. I fired that wrong. I probably shouldn't have fired 2 so quickly after each other like that, but we'll see. He's thrown flares and he's coming down this way. Looks like, yeah, he's made both of those miss. And we've only got 2 left, so I definitely need to be careful about how I come around behind him. Oh, is he going to let me just come around behind him right now? Okay. That's my best shot at him, right there. Oh, and it is a success. Look at that. What is that? Is that just like one of the cockpits and a little bit of nose cone? Yeah, that was the cockpit and the radar stuff, and look at that, all his armaments falling behind him. Yeah, so ECM jammer, very effective at stopping them from even getting a lock in the first place. At least I assume that's why it was effective. I mean, could have been something else for all I know, but 99% sure that he just couldn't get a lock because I had a jammer active the whole time. So yeah, jammers, very cool. Force you to use heat seekers, which he didn't have any, and I did. So, we're awesome. And we still have most of our armament. We've only lost our air-to-air capabilities, so yeah, we can go take things out. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in space.